Hey everybody, long time no see. It's late, I know, but bear with me. The wait is worth it. So let's talk about not our code yet, but let's talk about hidden treasures. Nuxt hidden treasures. 8 gems. Every Nuxt developer should know. Every one of you out there. And of course we can start with, oh yeah, route rules, server components, but these are the obvious things. We heard about so many cool features throughout the entire 2 days. We saw live releases, we saw amazing things, but well, I want to talk about some of the lesser known features, which I usually suggest most of the people when they're applicable, except one which came in brand new, but we'll talk about this in a second. First, I'm Alex. Yeah, you might have seen me around already in 1 or 2 videos or a panel or in the chat. I love to stay in touch with the community. You've also seen me maybe on GitHub or Discord. And yeah, I'm a web engineering consultant by day, so helping companies, especially with regards to Vue and Nuxt. I'm also a speaker and instructor, so talking conferences, giving workshops, and also I am, surprise, surprise, on the Nuxt team. So yeah, I also started recently to do some more content creation because I feel there's a little demand in terms of, we need more Nuxt and Vue content, explain some concepts. So if you're interested in that, you've seen little mighty bites here and there, you know where to follow. And then I also have a website where I blog every now and then, and I'm also on GitHub. Okay, so far so good. Now to the topics. We have a few categories here because, yeah, 8 hidden gems every developer has to know. It's a little bit clickbaity, I know, and we'll stick with that topics. So we go on to delightful debugging, crisp code cleanup, promising performance patches, and outstanding opportunities. And yeah, as I said, we have 8. So I hope in these 20 minutes we go through all of them. And there might be also a bit of live coding. Let's see how things go. So let's start with delightful debugging. I mean, we all know console log and debugger and the Nuxt dev tools, but there are a few things that can help us here a bit more. So the first one is window.use Nuxt app. So in Nuxt 2, back then, we had window$Nuxt or a similar version when you can just rename the $Nuxt to whatever you want. Luckily, we don't do that in Nuxt 3 anymore. It was lots of pain to maintain that. In Nuxt 3, we have, I don't even want to read it out, but we can use uncontext, or we can just use a nicer version of that, window use Nuxt app. So what does that actually do? Well, let's just go to nuxtnation.com, beautiful website, open our DevTools, and just write window use Nuxt app. And we'll see we get access to the whole Nuxt instance here with all the things injected, $API, $config, some Pinia things, some router. And from here we can debug, we can check some values, we can check the state and all of that. And this is very helpful because this is a production site, right? That just works out of the box. And then people say, oh my God, no, we can't do that. There can't be just people saying, hey, I can just access all of the things that I also have in development. This is the security issue. How can I protect that? And I've seen these issues since Nuxt 2 back in the days. And the question is it a security risk? Is this a feature we introduced we should just get rid of straight away? Issue some CVEs? No, don't worry. This is fine. Not with the flames, like just properly. This is fine. Why? Because everything in the front end is human readable anyway, right? So why like bothering? We just make it easier for developers to debug. If someone really wants to dig down in your code, they can just download all the JavaScript files, like beautify all the things, set debuggers, like you do in development. They can do that in production. So everything that doesn't come from your API is not safe in any way anyway. So no security risk, but super helpful for debugging. Window use Nuxt app. There we go. And we have a second treat when it comes to delightful debugging. And that's a very quick one. So let's figure out what is server rendered, because let's say we use SSR. It doesn't matter if static site generation, dynamic server-side rendering, a mix of all these, but it would be nice to figure out, does SSR work, right? And we can use window.__nuxt__ server rendered. So we can just take this, put it in here again in the DevTools, and we will see, oh, it's true. That page has been server rendered. Easy. Nice. Perfect. But more importantly, what of these things on that side here, what of these things is server rendered? Is live now? The forum? The logo? Let's find out. And luckily, we can use Vue source. So let's go to one of my favorite sites, discord.com with a little typo, and we end up, lovely. I know that from somewhere. So let's do the following, do the right click here and go on Vue page source. This will open the Vue source window with exactly that URL. And if we say like, hey, let's check if that text here is server rendered, let's just copy that and search it over here. And we see, oh, nice, that's included down here. It's in there because this is what comes from the server. This is server rendered. We're all good. If we would open the inspector, we could say, yeah, everything we see here, for example, like this notification, it's in here, right? It's in the DOM. But is this server rendered? Let's find out once again. Let's just copy the text from here. You should double check URL, put that in here, and we say, phrase not found. That doesn't work because it's not server rendered. It is actually rendered on the client. So in this way, you can actually figure out what parts are server rendered, what will actually be included on the markup on the HTML sent by the server, and what is added afterwards. Okay, so far so good. And we did that. Delightful debugging, check. Nice. Let's talk about crisp code cleanup. And usually that one of the Smurfs there, that with the broom, I've been in that situation multiple times. That's more than fine. You've been probably too, so let's have a look. First, custom auto imports. One of the features I really enjoy is custom auto imports. I've talked about it quite a bit already, but still, with Nuxt, of course, you can auto import your components, your composables, your utils. Lovely. But did you know you can customize these? You can just say, hey, let's import components from totally different folders, or say, hey, I want to have some different prefixes here. Or let's import TypeScript and JavaScript files from totally different directories, not only composables and utils and whatnot. That sounds nice, right? But even better, I can tell you that, you can import exports, yeah, bear with me, import exports from packages automatically. So say you use date functions and just say, yeah, okay, I want to import all the things if I need them. You can do that with a little bit of config effort. So we use unimport for that, or Nuxt uses unimport for that. Unimport is one of the countless UnJS packages here. So once again, props to all these people, especially Anthony, Daniel, Puya, and all the contributors that are involved, making that package better in all of UnJS. So yeah, and there is an in-depth explanation of this feature in a video I've made recently, so shameless plug here, but we will dig into it anyway. I've set up a little application, which is technically also in the slides you will see in a bit here. And this is really not much. We have an almost empty Nuxt config here. We have an app.view that's almost empty. I might make the thingy a little bit bigger and remove the console from down here. So, and then we have an index page and about page. Very, very simple setup. Nothing crazy, no modules imported, anything. The only thing I did is I added date functions to package.json here. It is in there. Also, we're running on Nuxt 3.8. Latest version just got released. Of course, we do that. Also need it for a little bit. So yeah, what we do now is, let's say, in the app.view here, or in the index.view, doesn't matter. Let's say we have a script block, a script setup block. And of course, we use TypeScript because why not? And let's say we have now is date.now, sure, and we say const tomorrow. And we want to use add dates. Add days. And actually we want to say, okay, to now we want to add 1 day, tomorrow, same time, easy. And now it says, that's not the thing. What can we do? Yeah, of course we can auto import now add days from date functions, and it's solved, but boring, right? Let's try it differently. Let's remove this here, and let's do a little trick. So what we want to do is in our Nuxt config, we can set, move that bit down, imports, right? Here, that's a key. And here we could say, great, we have these imports up and running. Let's just say, okay, what do we want to import? Well, we have the date functions package, right? So why not saying, okay, we define a preset By the way, there are lots of other presets out there already pre-configured, and I also submitted PR recently to make that whole date functions a bit easier. So don't have to do what we do right now, but just write date functions here, but not merged yet. We'll see. Okay, so what we do here is we say from the package date functions, but because the whole thing is in the subfolder, let's say add days here, we want to import something, and we want to import the name default because it's the default export, and we say as add days to have the right name. And we save that, and of course add a comma here because then nothing is screaming at us. And now it says, okay, updating, all good. And let's have a look. Let's have a look in the .nuxt folder over here. And here we get in our imports DTS, import default as add days. So it's there straight away. And even if you say like, okay, you know what? Let's just look at the application real quick. Let's have a look at localhost 3000, go back in the browser. And okay, so far we don't see anything because we have to render it. So let me quickly render out tomorrow in the application. And we'll see, there we go. Friday, October 20th, today is October 19th. That works fine, awesome. So I would say we're good to go and we can just auto import all the things. And the best part is even TypeScript support should work fine. So even you then have the types ready in your project and you can just use it with all the goodies, so to say, because thanks to unimport, that works out. And let's just skip to the next cool feature. We did live coding. Yay, great. There's an example, of course, this is what we just did. I also added a little hook here to add more components, but we don't have that much time and I know it's late, so let's get over that. Once again, that's all explained in depth in the link video. And another amazing thing we have is type pages. So this is like a really, really great feature because if you're using TypeScript, you can now infer the routes of your application. So that works for Nuxt link, for navigate to, for router push, and all that. So let's get once again back in the code. We have that add days here working from before. And now we can write anything right here, right? We have about an index and we can just write gibberish and it works fine. Of course, not if you click on the link. So that's not a thing. Let's go back to our Nuxt config and just write experimental. And here we go for type pages and set the whole thing to true. And that's actually enough to ensure that the whole thing is working. Once again, in our console, we see, oh yeah, Nuxt config updated. We're restarting Nuxt, all great, wonderful. And that's the great part. Now, if we go back to the code for a second, we see if we write slash, it gives us auto-completion for slash about and index. And if you have more routes, same idea, we get that. And if you write, for example, with navigate to something else, we'd even get an error saying, that's not in the routes there. You might have a typo or that's not correct. So also there, once again, TypeScript can save the day, and that's experimental. It works fine, but the API might change under the hood especially, which is why it's experimental. And once again, to reinforce that, experimental does not necessarily mean unstable. Okay, so that works fine. Another goodie is you can even get the type parameters if you use useRoute, the useRoute composable, with the name of the route. So lots of goodies there with just one simple config, which is experimental type pages true. Awesome. Okay. And there's bonus content. I really like bonus content, so I said I'll give you 8. This is like 8.5, kind of. So, if you use pnpm, for example, you're on 3, you might know shamefully hoist a flag or like an npmrc or something like that. But did you notice? Probably not, but I'll tell you now, did you notice that here there is no single npmrc? And I promise you, I didn't start it with the flag here. So the good part is you don't need it anymore. It's not necessary. You just have to install Vue and Vue Router, the dependencies, along with Nuxt. And to be fair, some modules might need an update for that to make sure that everything works flawlessly if they depend on certain things. That should happen quite quickly though. So if you have the dependencies set up, Nuxt, 3.8 of course, Vue Router, you're good to go. So you can enjoy the good old PNPM magic of PNPM. Great. Bonus content. Check. Now about promising performance patches. We had also like a big chunk of things during the panel, so I don't want to repeat myself too much there. But there's one thing which is really new, landed in 3.8. I saw Daniel like putting up, editing PR live on stream on Monday, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Beginning of the week, definitely. So it's a really cool feature. I played around then the next day in my stream, thinking, okay, let's have a look, and it's very lovely. So I usually, as I said, recommend all the patterns to like the clients I'm working with. This one I will recommend from now on because 3.8 is out. And the idea is you can avoid refetching data on the client side. So you have, wait, I'll just explain it while coding. I think that's a bit easier. Let's go back to the code. We have that index here, and let's say we get some result from useFetch. And if some of you might have seen earlier talks on me, I really like to use the so-called I can has that joke API. So that's really great. Also, we won't type anything here because we're lazy. No, because of time, of course. Otherwise, I would neatly type that out. And here it's important to set the headers to, right, to accept JSON, and we get a joke. So let's replace that tomorrow with just maybe restructure. Let's destructure the data here, and maybe just give data.joke out here. And we'll jump back to the browser and see what's happening. So, of course, now we also want to switch from the slides to the actual local host. What kind of music do mummies like? Rap. Fine. We're on the index page. Now let's go to the about page. Okay? And back to the index page. And we see, that's refreshing. We get another call. If we would check out the dev tools, like the browser dev tools, we go back and forth, we see there's a new call triggered. Oh no, why can't I see the previous random thing? That's, I want to read the joke, now I can't see that again. How can we make that happen? Well, we could write our own logic for that, or we can use a wonderful get cache data for it, which is, as I said, pretty new. So we can define a function here, and the function could either return data or return a nullish value, which is just undefined or null. If the latter happens, the whole thing will refresh based on what we defined over here. Otherwise, the data will be just returned. So we could return any kind of data here, but what we actually want to return usually is the data that's already existing. So let's put in Nuxt app over here and use Nuxt app. And then we can say, okay, we either get the data out of the payload or out of static. So down here, straight away, we return that. And that's it. So if this exists, it will always return the data that has been fetched already. If it doesn't exist, it will fetch it and then save it there. So the next time that will work. Of course, now we can go further and even say, yeah, like I get a date or like a time when this was fetched. And then if this expired like a minute ago or something, then please refetch it. That also totally works. You can have any logic in here, any logic. Yeah, you can also have actual logic in here, of course. Okay, so let's go back to the browser, have a look. Once again, I will just do a quick refresh, remove all this. Remove all this. There we go. Go to XHR. And we say, when my wife told me to stop impersonating a flamingo, I had to put my foot down. Okay. Once again, it's a good one. Let's go to about. It's empty. Let's go back. It's still there. No extra call. It works. Yes. It's really an amazing feature. And there's like a big issue about, how to add caching to all these. That's the easy answer by now. So thanks a lot to Dario, I think, who initially made that PR happen. Of course, to Daniel for going over it, and the community voicing in their opinion and their feedback. Oh, awesome. So get cache data. Here's the explanation that I just explained. It's really a blessing, and I'm more than sure I will see some more use cases throughout the next days, weeks, months, and so on. And then, of course, I mentioned that yesterday, but still important, Nuxt Analyze. It is a key feature to ensure that you will check out your bundle, see what dependencies are bundled, how they are bundled, what is maybe not tree shakeable, which code is chunked how, and what's actually in there. So this is super helpful. You can run it with npm Nuxt analyze or any kind of package manager, of course. So go for it, try it out and see what's happening here. You see the gzip size, you see the entry chunk, the size of that, you even know what's in there. I'll also go into detail in the future, like not today, but checking out what's actually in the entry chunk in that like 50 KB gzip. But yeah, your whole app, this is like, I think, a screenshot of my sites bundle. Of course, can grow way bigger than that. All right. And then outstanding opportunities, the last category. We're almost there. We're almost there, I tell you. So, and this might even blow your mind further than get cache data. I'm not entirely sure. Because get cache data is amazing, it's a new feature. This feature is in there for long, and not that many people know that. So let's see. Ever wanted to change your Nuxt config.js based on the environment? Anyone ever wanted that? Write in the chat now. I'm waiting. I'm looking. I have the chat right there. I'm just curious. Ever said like, hey, on production, please change Nuxt config.js to set this to true or to false? Or I don't know, change the app URL. I know it's a bit late. I'm waiting. I'll take the time. In the meantime, going back to the slides. Anybody ever said, hey, that would be cool? Okay, I see. Yes, please. Yes. Okay, great. Awesome. That waiting time was worth it. So, as I said, only add certain modules in dev, but not in production, settings, and so on. What if I tell you that if you have some default settings, you can just do this. You can use $development. So if your node env is set to development, you can add these additional changes to your Nuxt config, these additional settings. Same for $production or $test. Everyone was like, yes, absolutely. I should have waited a bit longer. But still nice to see. So there you go. This works out of the box for quite some time, thanks to C12. So you can just do this, right? $development and then everything you want in dev, but not in production. Same for $test, $production, and so on. So thanks to C12, which is once again another UnJS module, this is possible. This is even documented very nicely down here at environment-specific configuration. There you go. Don't worry, I'll link to all of that in a bit. So yeah, and it's, as I said, it's useful for quite some scenarios. The guy who just said, just use ternary operator, I see you. Yeah, okay, fair. But how do you actually determine the whole thing? And what's with test? What's with the test environment? So you can do like, I don't know, let's say change the base URL pointed against the Nitro API, so your own API, and that mocked that API during your test setup with Nuxt vtest, so you can just test if these work well. You can provide different settings for different environments in general. You can ensure that the internal proxies and redirects, they don't leak to production, and so on. So lots of options. Also, full TypeScript support. So once again, there you have everything that you need. And this plus get cache data are both a bit mind-blowing. So we're almost done. One more feature though, hooks. I have to include them because I don't see them that often used or utilized, like, oh, hooks. Exactly, Nuxt and Nitro hooks. We're not talking about any other hooks here. So you can change the behavior of the framework itself, of Nuxt, saying, oh, I don't know, when Nuxt is generating all the pages, add another page. Or before rendering HTML, add some things, remove all the prefetch tags or whatnot. Sky's the limit, once again. And hooks are available for Nuxt and Nitro, so basically on the server part, or on the Nuxt part, and on build time and runtime, so all of that. And the good part is you can even create your own hooks and call them if you really want to. Super useful for modules, for example. And yeah, give that a try. Also, there's a link to the docs, all available hooks. Of course, you can have custom ones, all available there, and they explain what they're doing, what they're there for. And one example I took from a recipe I created, for example, to add Sentry is we have server plugins error tracking TS here. So we define a Nitro plugin. And in there, let's say, okay, we use Nitro plugin hooks.hook error. We use the error hook to say any kind of error goes in there in that body of the function, and you can do whatever you want. Say, ignore 404s, send things to, for example, Sentry. And you can also say, okay, we like on every request that we do with Nitro, please extend Nitro's context. there with the request hook. And of course, that's a failed one. I didn't clean it up correctly. So on cleanup, on close, please ensure that you clean up DB connections and whatnot. So all in all, these are super useful. And this is just one of the few use cases for hooks. So I see you all are hooked. Yeah. Love that one in the chat. To summarize, once again, there are way more than just 8 Nuxt gems around. There's so many, but I picked them one. I think they're not as well known, but they should be, because now you do know. They're helpful in your upcoming projects. I mean, get cache data, guys. Get cache data. Lovely. Dollar development. And of course, they're worth to know. So now we opened all the treasures. And of course, once again, a little shameless plug here. If you want to learn more about some secret gems like performance optimizations maybe, or more about Nuxt and UnJS in general, I usually bring out some weekly videos, hopefully tomorrow, next one. So just in case you're interested in more video content, go for that. And yeah, last but not least, I want to thanks a lot to my sponsors, because I'm very happy to can spend actual time on open source. Thanks to them. And I thank you for your attention. I'm Alex, and I'm ready for your questions. Thanks, everybody. Oh yeah, slides are there. We'll link that straight away in the chat.
Yay. Thank you, Alex. And we are running short on time because,
I guess so, yeah.
But mostly because just end of day, and I got to run to a doctor's appointment soon. So I have a bit of an announcement, but it has to do with you as well. So I'm going to share this really quick, and then I'll be asking you a big question. So my announcement is next week, we will have Daniel Kelly from Vue School on my show, Teach Gen Tech, of what the Nuxt is of Vue and Vite. And here is my question for everybody, for you, Alex, because I'm leaving it there for a second. Y'all go follow on Twitch, because that's where you'll get updates, and make sure you get the announcement for it. But the big question, this is for everybody. What should Alex teach me on my show?
That's a good one.
Because Alex said yes. Alex said yes on Twitter yesterday. And we don't have time for a good Q&A today, even though I have like a million questions. So y'all, put in the comments, what do we need to ask him when he's on the show? Because I know that we will have lots and lots of questions. We will still do a couple, but I don't want to, miss too many, because I know that there is like, oh, and the sound effects. The sound effects were just happiness. Yay. Yay.
There we go.
All right. So question number 1 after the announcement, please, yes, everybody, tell us what he should be on the show for. And how do I introduce this concept to my team? Oh, wait, I'm on the wrong
Once again.
one. I was like, wow, you're getting the same question. I mean, that is a good one anyway, but do you have any resources I could use to get more info on these topics?
Yes, mainly the Nuxt docs. I'm happy to link. Once again, I linked most of them also throughout the slides. So like also link to Unimport. I'm happy to share some more links I used as resources in the chat in a bit, and also send them for the description of the VOD. Of course, no problem. But usually the Nuxt docs, the GitHub repository of all these amazing packages of Nuxt and UnJS. And yeah, I think all the I think some are also like my videos and blog posts from the sources there. But yeah, I would say that's that.
Yay. Okay, cool. Next question. If there's one advice you could give someone new to Nuxt, what would it be?
Read the document. Yeah, read the documentation. But no, like seriously, I think don't be afraid. This also in general, don't be afraid to ask. If you feel like stuck on something, join the Discord and ask. There are lots of helpful people trying to get you out of that and just answer your maybe misunderstandings or just help you out. So don't be afraid to ask and join the Discord.
I love that. I'm also going to add, for someone new at Nuxt, go follow like the content that Alex and Daniel make, because it is just being part of their live streams and watching them learn and being able to ask questions live and going to these conferences is a great way for newbies to learn. It helps me being able to learn in different ways because when I want answers right away, though, I need that community. So,
True, true.
yes.
But also, yeah, it's exactly like asking questions live stream every time I'm streaming. Don't have like a big schedule, but I aim for I think next Wednesday or so, and then try to keep it weekly or bi-weekly. Come with questions, shoot them around, and we can have a look at all of them. That's very happy to answer that. Yeah.
All right. Are there performance implications to adding imports in Nuxt config versus importing directly in a component?
I mean, there is an option to say, okay, make the components global components, and then they will get their own chunks. So that is in a way a performance application. As in if you like have a component, you would only use them on one page. It wouldn't need an extra chunk, like an extra file. But other than that, if you know, okay, that will be used throughout multiple pages and subcomponents anyway, that's not a big deal. Without a global part, no.
All right. And last question. They just tried out get cache data and it's pretty cool. Is there a way to set TTLs for keys?
Um, as far as I know right now, no. I also had the feeling like it would be really nice to have some kind of like fetched add date. But what I usually do, I use the transform function and use fetch and just say like, give me all the data and add a fetched add that equals to new date. And then you can kind of define a TTL on your own because you get the data if it's available. So like this return Nuxt payload key or Nuxt static key, like just say const data equals that. And then check if data dot fetched add is like smaller than like plus 10 minutes is smaller than now, then just return nothing. Otherwise, return the data. That's how I would do it. And how also I tried it out and was like, oh, that's cool. That's a good way for now.
Yay. Well, awesome. Thank you so much. This was amazing as always. And thank you for being the last talk of the day. This was fantastic. And all of your mighty bites. They were a
Yeah.
great addition to the panel and your talk. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm glad that I get so much positive feedback. I hope you all liked it, and I will stay in the chat, like answer some questions that popped up there. And if there's anything else, also for the VOD, I'll answer all of them down there. Just tag me anywhere, and I'll answer. Let's just say that. And in the
Thank
show as
you.
well, I will be very curious.
Yay. Yay. Thank you all.